Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Doppler's Gear Garage. And gosh darn it, it's nice to be here with you. I hope you are doing great. Let me take a look at that. There we go. In case we haven't met before, my name is Doug. This is the garage, and this is my number one Flying V. And have we got a show for you? All right, good morning, Mark Turvey. How are you, my dear friend? So are you still playing those Fenders? Hey, I want everybody to do me a favor. Down in the chat, put your number one go-to guitar. Terry, good morning. Great to see you. Hello, hello. And maybe a word or two about why you love that guitar in particular. Today, one of the things we're going to do, and I'm probably going to pull it up on my affectionately labeled Beato board next to me, but we're going to be going over some scale, degree numbers, and note names. Why are we going to do this? I am on a mission to help guitar players be able to not just get stuck at one place on the neck. Yep, wielding the Strat tonight. Come on, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. So let's just say, well, actually, Mark, you know, we're going to talk about E flat. So judging by that picture, that's you and Nuno jamming there. What was that? So if you're going to jam with somebody that's in E flat and you're in standard tuning, there's a little bit of kind of like, holy cow, all the frets are in the wrong location. So one of the things I strongly suggest being able to do is have a sense of the note names well enough such that if you're in a situation, and this has happened increasingly where you'll get groups of guitar players, standard tuning, and then somebody is in E flat. Generally that's done for vocalists so they can hit the higher notes in their register a little bit more easily, especially if that's something you're going to do night after night. Also, E flat generally sounds a little bit fatter on the guitar. However, for those of us old school guys that love the sound of a guitar in standard tuning, and you know, the thing is that let's just say you're playing in a band with a keyboardist and you're like, hey, we're going to play it in E, but you tune to E flat. There's this weird conversation that has to happen that can be complicated. All right, that said, E flat, minor pentatonic, one of the things that we want to do is kind of start off with it. This little box. Good morning, Adam. Little box that happens basically, if you will. Oh, I got a little fancy thing here. What about, you're going to be here? No, you're going to be, where are you? Oh, I have to be in this mode. Hold on, there we go. Where are we going to be? We're going to be here. There we go. Sorry for my energy bars being in the shot here. But basically, we've got this little box here. That little kind of flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4 little box there. And we're going to talk about guitars. Thank you very much, Jim. There we go. Come on. My new, oh, come on. AAA 60s Les Paul Standard. Come on, just the feel. Gibson quality is back. Great to hear that. So more than the silverback. Great to hear. All right, so the deal is this little box here, which we again can think of as flat 7, 1, and flat 3 and 4. What's neat about that, with that little bend there from the 4 to the 5, you get all 4 and 5. So one of the things I love to talk about is register. So I'm going to switch over to the neck pickup here. So those are all basically the same pentatonic shape, but moved around. And instead of kind of going, hey, we're in the key of E, or in a moment we're going to be in E flat, the idea is we just kind of go, hey, we're just finding our starting note, which is going to be D, and just kind of like, what are the different places I can play that? And then be able to move around the neck and be able to walk that pentatonic around. So the advantage of that, let's say I'm going to go to, So literally all I was doing was going, that same box played here, 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 so on and so forth. So my suggestion would be able to find out, I guess we're going to look for D, D. Oh, we're not going to be able to do it there. But D, 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 and be able to box the neck up like that with that simple little shape. And it's a great little hack. But the most important thing is being able to move around between it. And use the different registers and the nuance of the. And literally, if you just kind of find that little box, so I hit a 4 strings so that 3rd string. Also nice for call and response. And there kind of I did something that I can't say I've consciously ever done, but there I was kind of, I went up 1 octave, and then on the second response, all right, now, that's great, and all of a sudden, what happens when we're playing with somebody in E flat? Well, knowing where E flats are is probably going to be helpful. E flat, 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 and then, I need to be playing, hold on. I need to be playing my D flat to be able to play E flat minor pentatonic. So let me rephrase that. First finger is going to be playing at D flat at here at the 9th fret. Now what's neat is you're going to be able to do the same thing up here. No, you're not. Wrong. So we're right there. We're going to be at the 4th fret. Over here, we're going to be at the 16th fret over here. We're going to be over at the 1st fret. No, we can't play it there. We're going to be at the, my brain is still thinking E flat when I need to be thinking D flat. We're going to be at the 11th fret there. Then we're going to be over at the, I got it right this time, 2nd fret, add 12, we're going to be at the 14. So E flat. And all of a sudden, we're cruising around in E flat. Now, my apologies on kind of not keeping my E flat and my D flat straight, but gosh darn it, it happens. All right. The neck on your guitar is awesome. Thanks so much. I noticed last time we met. So, first of all, great to see you again. Always a pleasure. So, you know, the interesting thing is there's a new guitar that is in the house that I'm not playing today because I was kind of doing some prep stuff and I was like, well, no, I'm going to bring it in next week. But a neck shape, I want to talk about that a little bit. The funny thing is the new guitar, the neck shape is almost identical to this. But one of the things that I'm always conscious of is what I call the shoulders of the neck, right here and right here. How wide that is, because for me, for the Hendrix stuff, and that little spot on the, if I have too much shoulder, I can't get that spot. And it gets a little bit easier the further you move up the neck because the frets are closer. But down here, that spacing means you need the ability to get the hand a little bit wider, but still. So if I'm struggling to get my thumb around the top of the neck, those shoulders matter. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Tony, great to see you, my friend. Look at this, all the old school OG people in the house. Sonny, by the way, Tony, gonna be trying to schedule another show sometime soon, so hopefully I'll be able to see you there. Jim, although my Silverburst custom is still pretty awesome, just slightly larger neck and different pickup. So the pickup thing, what I love is different. So this guitar has got basically a hum canceling P90 in the bridge. So it's got a little bit of a, what I've affectionately started calling skank tone. A little skanky. But it's still got that little bit of enunciation you need for clarity. Well, it's still a little tiny bit messy. All right. Hey. Speaking of the good guys, I've known for a minute, Michael Lane. Great to see you, my friend. Hello. All right, love getting a chance to play the Super V in Henderson. Come on. That one is Sweet Rock and Roll Machine. So technically, this is V number 2. And so this next week, so this one has a full routed Floyd. This week, V number 1. So I guess this is my number 2 V technically, right? But this is I switch between the two of them evenly. So I apologize to V number 1 for calling this number 1 V. But because they're very close but slightly different, I can reach for one, and they're close enough so I can go between them. But the difference in the bridge pickup and the middle pickup on this guitar, since we're talking about it. Now, for those of you, Mark, that play a Strat, generally speaking, the phrase ""Don't touch me there" for us tube fans. Those of us old enough to remember the tubes. But the middle position is generally a place on the Strat like, "Don't play it there." But on this guitar, this is the Satch track, and it's a great pickup in the middle position. Where is that little sucker? All right, that'll work. sounds good on the slide. Let me go to the bridge there. The P90. Got a little bit more something with this particular tone. All right, gosh darn it. But awesome. Carlos Hernandez. Good morning, amigo. Video. So, Carlos Hernandez is a dear friend, great guitar player, known for many years. I am sitting next to, my week is going to be dedicated to redemoing this 90s triple rectifier, and it's sitting on top of the 90s dual rectifier. But Carlos was the first guy that I played through one of his dual rectifiers, and that was the first time I ever played through a dual rec in that Transmission Theater in 1996. How's that sound, Carlos? Am I right factually? Something like that? But that was the first time I ever got a chance to plug into a dual rec, and gosh darn it, are they amazing amplifiers. So over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a deep dive on the 90s triple rec, and this thing is loud. And then a comparison video, kind of comparing and contrasting the features between these two. And then there are two other triple recs that are hiding back there. They're obscenely loud. That's all I will say, and I like obscenely loud. All right, good morning, Shred. What's happening, my man? Well, gosh darn it, we better make use of both of those, so hang on a second. It is time to raise them up. Okay, so everybody would be so kind as to let me know. First of all, we already asked about what's in your left hand. What is in your right hand, presuming that you're right-handed? So I am drinking some peach with a little bit of muscle milk. So right back at you, my friend. Great to see you. Shredward, awesome. D flat works great on a 21 fret Strat. That's right. So this is an interesting side thing. There are frequent times where I'll pick up a Strat and I'll go, it just needs to be an E flat. So the pink Strat, there are times that I'll pick up a Strat and it's like, it's fine in standard tuning. But if you find that it's just a little thin, quite often just bring it down that half step. And generally speaking, my Strats, I keep it 9 through 42 at standard tuning. When I bring them down to E flat, I have a tendency to want to just take them down and put 10 through 46 on them, and that seems to do a great job. So D flat works great on the 20. Right. Thank you very much. Getting me back up to speed. So there we go. So basically, there is D and there's D flat on our Strat. The problem is what we can't do is we can't do this little. That little box there, which is what I was trying to do up there, but I didn't know my neck well enough to make it fit. We're going to get back to the note names in a minute. Hans, awesome. Thank you very much. I am very fond of this pickup. Great to see you, my friend, by the way. It's got like I said, a skankiness. But it's still got lots of sustain to it, and shockingly quiet. DiMarzio. All right. Paul Richard, my buddy, how are you? Great to see you, my friend. Rick Harrison, how are you? Mr. Doppler, I hope to see you in your lovely life doing well. We are, thank you. Great to see you. I'd like to know if you're planning on playing live down and that way anytime soon. I am working on actually finishing album stuff, and your lovely telly is sitting over there. I can't reach it because I'm in the middle of a massive studio clean, but we're actually going to be using that beautiful RH custom guitar that you kindly endeavored me into, and so thank you. That guitar will be beautiful design, beautiful look, beautiful playing, beautiful tone, and beautiful guy. Great to see you, my friend. Roger, with great pleasure. And by the way, hit me with questions. Make me work. Make me work, like you got questions, bring it on. Awesome. All right, sounds great. I added a Marshall 1959 pedal to my board. Still tweaking, but definitely gives you that plexi. I got to check one of those out. That sounds great. What's going on, Piggy? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, I've got a little bit of lesson stuff I've got in addition to the pentatonic boxing thing. But I want to also, if people have questions, what's going on? Shredding. That is some guitar. Love the colors and the pickup. Thank you. It is, the interesting thing is that traditionally, you think about a custom, Les Paul custom. That's where you get the gold hardware. What's going on, Riley? Good morning. Okay, so you kind of get this Les Paul custom thing, but, we have, first of all, a dot inlay, which is neither a standard or custom. But I just, for whatever reason, I wanted to go with the gold hardware. So, and then I had a choice of the black or the cream, and I was like, you know what, let me put the cream on there. The other thing is it makes the gold pole pieces stand out a little bit more. All right, one of the things that we just kind of talked about a little bit as we kind of got down to it, I'm going to keep my eyes out of the chat for just a moment, so I apologize. One of the things that we want to do, hang on, let me just, what's going on, Jeff? Great to see you. That reminds me, I need to give so the Bay Area lost a very, very special guy, and a guy that was very important in my world. So a guy named Rich Bandoni passed away this past week, somebody that Jeff and I have known for many, many, many years. And back in the day, when I was in high school, there was a local music store that's now gone called Leo's Music. And I would go into Leo's Music and play the guitars, and he was the guy on the guitar floor. And, at that point, I was still very much, teenager kind of figuring stuff out. But he was always really complimentary, and he could see, something was in the works. But I always left feeling appreciated. And, for those of us who... I really wanted to show you the new guitar, but I actually I bought a new guitar this past week, and I bought it at a big box store. You can probably figure out which big box store that might be, but you go into a big box store, there's very little. There's a vibe, but not really a great vibe. Not one that you would want to replicate. The guy that helped me was actually pretty friendly, but it was just kind of like. He could have been a taxi cab driver. And, but Rich always really cared about the gear, cared about the people that were in the store. And I always felt that like my tank kind of got topped off. And that was such an important thing. When you're a kid, those music store experiences, you kind of come in and, it's kind of like a good gig and a bad gig, in grown-up version. But, with little Dougie, we would go into the music store. If you had a great experience in the music store, you somehow left feeling, that would stay with you for a while. And Rich always made sure to make that happen. And years later, I'm not exactly sure how the conversation happened. He might have called me. I don't remember. But he said, Neil Sean, that's his guitar company. And you should get me a tape, and I'll get it to Neil, so you can potentially demo for the company. And so... Thanks to Rich's benevolence, I demoed for Sean Guitars at 2 different NAMM shows, and it was a transformational life experience. It was the first company that I ever demoed gear for, ever. And Neil was there. I got to know Neil. I got to represent Neil's guitar company. Some really amazing guitar players would come by the booth, like Vivian Campbell, and it was just an experience. That was just one of those things where there are very few times in life where somebody has a chance to pluck you out of your reality and plug you into a completely different reality that changes who you are and your perspective. And Rich did that for me. And he knew that he was doing that, and he did it humbly. The other people are like, oh, don't you remember the time I did that? And it was never like that. And so, in any case, he will be sorely missed. So here's to Horsehead. Okay. So with that said, let me jump back into things here. So do I own any of those? So there are a couple of pieces of gear. Actually, the funny thing is that amp right there, it did used to belong to Joe Satriani. That is a Jose modded Marshall. I'm not plugged into it right now, but that is an amazing amplifier. And so, but that belongs to a gear lending buddy of mine. And that amp will definitely be getting, I've been regrouping on what I'm going to be doing on YouTube. Boy, I'm peaking a little bit. Hold on. Let me bring that down just a little bit. There we go. Testing. 1, 2. There we go. So the amps, racks, and rigs thing, I initially made it into this sort of little overdoing of how much stuff I wanted to pack in there. But because it's amps, racks, and rigs, it can be whole rigs, but it can also focus on individual amps with a little bit of rig stuff around it. So that amp and also the JC120, that combination, that's not Joe's JC120, but the combination of a Marshall and a JC120, or if you're West Borland, a Mesa Boogie and a JC120. You know, the JC120 is a very special amp. Played on a bunch of things, so we'll be giving that some love as well. Eric, good morning. Great to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it, Roger. Thanks, man. Hey. Love that shot, by the way. All right. I do not have any speculation on that. Okay, so that'll be small if you're on a phone, so let me read that very briefly. Any speculation on the XFX 4? The competition seemed to be releasing a lot of interesting new gear models, Quad Cortex Mini, but I want to see what the next 10 fractals will be like. I love the 3 and the FM series. So, generally speaking, it's not in this rack. There it is. There it is right behind me. So the XFX 3, when I kind of put my larger rack and gear together, and one of the videos that I'm going to be making, I don't want to talk too much before I get back into the playing side, but we are gearheads in this Doppler'S Gear Garage. Let's go there. One of the great things about the XFX 3 is your ability to route multiple amplifiers in there. So one of the videos that I'm going to be making, and I've talked about this before, is a wet, dry, wet rig. What gives? Well, the ability to separate your delays and your reverbs. Stereo reverb, hard left and hard right. Your delays in just a little bit on the, if you will, you had 1, 2, and then basically another set of 3, 4, but that center column is the direct signal. So you got boom, boom, direct signal. Delays, just reverbs. And by hugging the delays a little closer to the center than the reverbs, if you move to one side or the other of the stage, you're not just hearing the dotted eighth on one side or the quarter on the other, which is if you hard pan the delays left and right. So just bring them in a little bit. They're not all the way in the center. That way you get the separation of the direct signal, your delays, and your reverbs. Stereo reverb, there's not that much difference between what's happening on the left and the right. Subtle, there is a difference, but not that much of a difference. So the ability to then kind of be able to wander around in a stage setting, and again, being able to have a separate, it's like you're in a recording studio where you have a bus where you bring in your delay and you have a bus where you bring in your reverb. They're separate from one another. Traditionally in our guitar rig, we come out of the back of the amp, out of the effects end. We come into our delay in series into our reverb. That is to say the direct signal feeds the delay. The direct signal mixed with the delay feeds the reverb, and the direct delay reverberated by the direct and reverb of the reverb, or I should say reverberated by the reverb of the reverb, and then coming back to your amp, you get this series relationship, which is generally how we're used to hearing guitar sound. However, being able to run your reverbs in parallel rather than in series one to the other, it makes a layer of clarity within the reverb that's really, really nice. What you can't do for a normal effect is run just pure delay into your reverb in series without the direct signal, because then essentially you're creating what's called pre-delay before the reverb, which is actually one of my favorite things to do with reverb, but that's a different conversation. Well, that is to say, you can make the reverb such that when you hit a note, the reverb comes in right away. But you can also add what's called pre-delay. All right, so I've got a reverb up over here on, ironically enough, you ask about Axe Effects and you get Helix Stadium, but let me add, where's my pre-delay? There we go. So right now, no pre-delay. That is 162 milliseconds. Let's go for 200 milliseconds. Subtle. Let me bring up the mix is hot level. There we go. Now, what's really cool about that is you probably noticed it really ends up being more like halfway between delay and reverb, because that delay because you can hear the attack of that first reflection, and it feels more like a delay as you kind of begin to hear it kind of ducking inside the guitar there. Let me bring the level down a little bit. It's a really cool sound. So I did Rabbit Trail, but again, it's Doppler'S Gear Garage, so I guess that's what I could tighten up the amount of delay on it. So let's go for 100 milliseconds now, just so it's not quite. Actually, let's go to 150-ish. And, you know, with that much verb, what's nice about having just that little bit of pre-delay, the initial transient, that is, say, the initial tack of the note. Let's see, let's bypass this real quick. You, off. Oh, the level changed. My apologies. That's the way it's routed. Back on. It's just kind of ducked out of the way, which is really nice. So let me tighten that up a little bit more. Come on, you. 100 milliseconds-ish. Starts to sound more like a traditional reverb. And it's a really neat way. Let's bring it back out here. I like that a lot. It's really got a... neat little sound. All right. Gosh darn it. All right. So that is any speculation. I do not know. I am fortunate enough to be really good friends with Matt from Fractal. The VP4 is here, and that's one of my other... First of all, I got the FM3, FM9, and the VP4, what's really neat about it, for those of you that don't speak Fractal, It has none of the amp modeling stuff. It's just all the great fractal effects. And generally speaking, in my rigs, I have a tendency to use various boogie things and not use the fractal stuff for anything other than the effects processing because it's phenomenal. And if you think about Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, John Petrucci, that'll work. All of those guys just use the fractal stuff for their effects processing. But if you think about Joe Satriani, John Petrucci, and Steve Vai, three of the most influential guitar players using those effects. So that's what the VP4 puts in a friendly little box, and it's floating around here. There it is. Hold on. What's neat about it is, unlike the XFX, which is considerably larger, this is this big. And so one of the things that I do is I put Velcro on the bottom. I have a bunch of racks that, come on, no, you're not going to let me do it. That are basically that you can pull stuff out, and they all have Velcro on the bottom. And then what I'll do is, in addition to Velcroing it down, then I've got these long zip ties, and I'll zip tie things into the rack so they don't go anywhere. So what's neat about this is that the form factor is really cool. And I almost undoubtedly, when I get to demoing this stuff, one of the other things that I love to do, and it's one of the really cool things about the Helix or Helix Stadium, is that there are built-in gates that are really, really easy to manage. But one of my favorite things, yeah, you can hear I've got a gate engaged. So that is when I kind of gently tap the strings, you'll hear the guitar start to hum. And it'll go away. Well, let me turn the reverb off. All right. There you go. You can, and then it stops. That right there. So that's the gate catching that. And so basically it means that you can take your hand, you can do a fret and mute the strings. And once you mute, so you'll hear the kind of end of the vibrato. Literally. So it's got it clamped down. The advantage of that, as you finish a phrase, normally if I didn't have the gate on there, the amp would be, or the virtual amp would be going. But the advantage is to being able to get the gate to jump in. Where normally I'd have to go finish the phrase and bring the volume control like that. So largely because of shooting video, because live, I'm used to riding the volume control because I usually play so loud. The pure volume will kind of trigger the gate will just, the amount of volume, the gate doesn't work quite as well in a live situation, although it works well, but it's just not the same because the sheer amount of volume. So anything you do, it's loud and the guitar wants to react. But in this environment, because it's a little bit more contained, it's a really great feature to work with. So great question. Not that I've heard. Rich was amazing. He will definitely be sorely missed. Okay, good. Got that, Mark. 21st fret necks don't work for me. 21 fret necks. I have to have my high D / D flat. I'm playing a Mexican Strat with a 22 fret maple fingerboard. Absolutely love it. So first of all, the new guitar that I bought is not a Mexi Strat, but it is an Epiphone, and it's made in China. So there was a period of time that, it's a MIM acronym for Made in Mexico, or MIJ, there's a period of time like, it's a Japanese guitar, or, it's an Epiphone. And the great thing is that these companies have figured out their manufacturing processes, the stuff that's manufactured either south of the border or overseas. They're doing a phenomenal job. So congratulations. The other thing is that for years, Fender refused to make a 22 fret neck. And now basically every Strat that they make, with the exception of ones that are reissue facing, has 22 frets. So like your Gibson here, if you want to actually get up to your high E string, or you want to get up to your D, you have the ability to do that, or you're an A. That's all right. No, That's an F. I need to be getting to a G. Yeah. So very cool. All right, Albert, what's going on, my man? All right, I got one for you this morning. So one of the things we're also going to be doing, I'm going to get to the note name thing a little bit, but I got a little thing for you, hybrid picking thing for you. All right. Yeah, no, those were really special times. Thank you, my friend. Good morning, Eric. Better late than never. Brent, what's happening? Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Put some low end in the house. All right. That's the stuff. Okay, hold on. That's the stuff that nothing else comes close. You'd probably have to buy an Eventide H9000 to do that outside of factory. Oh, yeah. Right. So what we're talking, just picking up the thread there. So the routing capability in that and the ability to separate. So this crazy wet, dry, wet orange rig is actually made up of a center amplifier and then two rocker 32s. And so which is a stereo mono front section and a stereo power amp coming out of a pair of speakers. And the thing about that, is that it means that your rig, you've got all this crazy routing as you're going in from the main amp, separating your delays and your reverbs out to the other amps and getting the signal piped everywhere. The other thing is that I ended up having some strange grounding issues, but I was able to solve that using because to route that the way that I was setting up, it's coming out of the XLR outs on the Axe effects. It's way deeper than we need to go in this moment. But I was using a DI box. And what's great about these radial... Nope, not going to remember the model number. And I've got it here. Hang on a second. If you're ever in the market for a great junction DI box, hang on. Under the premise that this is Doppler's Gear Garage, we're going to pull out the box of radial gear because I can do that. We will get to more note name stuff in a moment. All right, let's move you back a little bit. Here we go. So, the great thing about doing a studio clean is you get a chance to kind of pull out a bunch of your favorite stuff. So, first of all, boxes that you might need. Oh, this is going to be fun. All right. How many people have more than one cabinet and every so often want to not have some impedance drama happen and or be able to take a tap out of your amp and run that straight into your DAW and potentially use some sort of IR. So this is CabLink from Radial, and this is really cool. There are basically a couple of different options. So you can run two cabs. You always have to hook up two cabs to it, but it enables you to kind of work around some of the traditional ohm mismatch stuff that can happen. So for example, I can come out via 16 ohm and easily go to 2 8 ohms. I can come out via 8 ohm and go to 4 ohms. I can come out 8 ohm and go to 16 ohms. I can come out 8 ohm and go to 8 ohms. So it is basically, if you have multiple cabinets and especially different amplifiers where the Boogie stuff wants to run at 8 ohms, and the Marshall stuff wants to run at 16 ohms. You ideally want to keep them running at kind of the main places. Not that the Marshalls won't run at 8 ohms. It's not that you can't run the Boogies at 16 ohms. It's just kind of, generally speaking, that's how those amps were designed. So this little box is money. And this little output enables you to basically take a tap on the way from the output of the amplifier to the speaker, and you can run this into your DAW, or what you can do is you can then run this into your effects processor like that, get it split, and now you've got the sound of your amplifier, so you run that into a clean power amp, and you run that out into a stereo setup. This little box is money. This is CabLink from my friends at Radial, and there will be an Amps, Racks, and Rigs video on this because it's flippin' rad. So, now, that said, radial. There's a box. No, sorry. Put it in a certain way. The anal retentive part is you got to have the top of the thing so you can read it lined up, so it's lined up with the top of the box, because we're like that. Anybody else out there? Anal retentive? All right, so we're looking for, that's the Pro D2. Where is that little DI that I'm looking for? Oh, here it is. No, yeah, there we go. JDI. So they make this in a mono and stereo. This bad boy, I've got 2 of these, but what's neat about this is that it with the ground lift and the Jensen transformers, this is a incredibly valuable piece of gear when you need to have a great DI. This is your one. So I've got other DIs that are around here. This is where's the D1? This is a slightly, it's in a Pro D2 box. This is the less expensive DI that's in the radio line, and it's good. They also make this in stereo, and somewhere my Pro D2, which is what this box was for, is floating around here, but I don't know where it is. But this is a really good, but not phenomenal DI box, and I've never had any of the radial stuff fail me. It's really, really well engineered. Peter Janis, who unfortunately passed away, is the guy that founded the company, and basically created a box for pretty much anything that you might need. All right, that's radio for right now. All right, get over there. Okay, now, gosh darn it. All right, hang on a second here. I may have solved my tap dancing issue. Bought a Frost Giant Eldon reverb delay boost all in one pedal. Please do. That sounds cool. Let me copy that. Copy text. Hang on a second. Put up a new browser here. Let's see what comes up. Amplifier's best friend, Ola Englund, demonstrating that. All right. Hold on a second. That's pedal of the day. Hang on a second. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that a little bit. I look forward to checking that out. There is the Eldon on reverb. Hang on. Visit. All right, let's see if I can do this without breaking anything. First of all, hello, in case we haven't met, my name is Doug, and this is Doppler'S Gear Garage. Oh, I'm locked? The scene is locked? Hold on, real quick. Unlock, there we go. All right, let's get over to... No, oh, that's a little scene from... Oh, my word, look at this. All right, well, that's a happy accident. So that is a scene from the video for... Knocking on Heaven's Door, and as you can probably tell, that's me surfing on a guitar. And gosh darn it, who's that guy with the cape there? I don't know. All right, let's get over to Google Chrome. Where are we? Where is this Frost box? Oh my word, where did this go? That's not it. All right. Rabbit Trail officially done. Going back to camera here. All right. Wondering if there is a situation where you'd ever EQ the reverb. So that's a great question. I'm actually going to talk about something that's a little bit of a left turn here. It's upstairs in a backpack. But I ran into a situation. Anybody here ever had a situation where... Well, actually, I'm going to say this. Everybody's had this situation. In particular, the Hot Rod Deluxe 4 fixed something that in the Hot Rod Deluxe 3, 2, and 1, there was a spot right around there in the EQ point that was in between the controls. You just couldn't EQ it out. And so years ago at the teaching studio that I inherited from Mr. Joe Satriani, I had a recording setup, a little reel-to-reel setup, Model 38 Tascam. And I mic'd up the cabinet at the 412, and it was giving me this thing that sometimes you get. And I liked the placement of where the microphone was, but the palm thing really was unacceptable. So one of the things you can do with a compressor is you can use what's called a side chain. And you can bring in an EQ into the compressor, and then by side chaining the EQ in the compressor, when that particular frequency was there, you could basically make it so the compressor would remove only that frequency, because basically that frequency was what was triggering the compressor. And so I didn't get a chance to do this the other day with this amp that I was fiddling around with, but it's a great way, rather than just taking an EQ and just go, all right, we're going to pull that frequency. What it enables it to do is, as that frequency starts to bloom, rather than just cutting it out of all the notes, when it really starts to become problematic, the compressor can grab it. So in that sense, you're EQing the amp via an EQ in the loop, but you're doing it in relationship to as that frequency begins to get overbearing. And so that's one of the little gear hacks that I'll be demonstrating in a future episode. And I'll do some of that here as well. As it relates to EQing reverb, one of the things that there is a video that I started to watch yesterday with Tim Pierce visiting Rick Beato. And Tim Pierce, and they're going to set up a little rig, and they were like, all right, first thing we're going to do is let's set up a pedal board. So Tim says, all right, I need the Nobles and some sort of darkening modulated delay. And I love that he said basically darkening. So what he wanted was a delay that's not full bandwidth, that basically takes the guitar and kind of gets it's instead of running all the frequencies back from the delay, it sits with the top kind of pulled back such that it's sitting in the background. If you listen to Eric Gales, for those of us that were at the camp, Nino's camp or any of the camps that he's been at, although this isn't going to... Oh, sure. All right, so right there, I'm going to bring on the high cut. All right, I'm going to bring the pre-delay all the way up. I'm going to bring the high cut. I'm going to bring up the... Now, what I'm going to do... Here, to my ear, that reverb... That frequency's in there. So I'm rolling down to 12K. Bring it down a little bit more. Bring the mix down a little bit, or the level down. I'm going to bring the mix down a little bit more, which the way I've got it set up is actually set up as a little. So what we're doing there, both via EQ and then the kind of the mix of the direct signal and the reverb, getting the reverb to just sit in that right spot. So that's a great question. So, yes. Now, reverb, especially with that type of a... However it goes. Really helps set the mood. And if you're looking for something that's moody and you've got all this too much high end on it, and literally I'm just pulling the EQ back, the high cut point. Great question, Albert. Awesome. All right, Metal, what's going on, my man? Heading in. Oh, Metal heading in. What's happening, my man? Great to see you. Good morning. Did I hear you talk about Telly a while ago? I cannot hear him clearly as I was making breakfast. So it's over there. Oh, right. So I was talking about my RH custom Telecaster, which is over there, where I can't really reach it because of all the gear that's kind of stashed there. But it's a phenomenal guitar, and I love that. Are you a Telly guy? Riley, hello. Epiphone. So the Elitist, I'm not familiar with the Elitist, man. Epiphone. Elitist. I'm not going to check it now. There we go. Oh, wow. Japanese. Oh, right. Got it. Those were the, right. They made them in the early 2000s. Right. I've heard about those, and they're supposed to be phenomenal again. MIJ. There you go. All right. What are the changes in format of the show? I kind of spaced out there for a while. The changes of format are not in effect yet. That means I kind of get on here some days like today, as I went upstairs to take my shower. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing today, but I had a couple of basic ideas. So the AXFX3 for the effects alone, they're phenomenal, and the processing power. Now, the VP4 is not going to have the sheer processing power that the AXFX3 does. So you have that. Albert, can you run your Carvin Legacy cabs off the impedance matcher? So what's great is that the Carvin Legacy cabs, as I recall, even though that is really the Legacy is kind of a Marshall-esque amp, as I recall, the cabs are 8-ohm cabs. I could be wrong. The pair of Legacy cabs that I've got are in storage. Hang on. Just one quick second. I can answer that question. Carvin Legacy 412. Give me a moment. All right, there it is. Let's take a look. I'll be able to take a look at the back of the cabinet, and it will say, by the way, just in case you didn't, no, all right, hold on. Where's the back of the cabinet? Wrong again. Okay, so while we're doing, let's see if I can get this right this time. I'm looking for Google, and I'm looking for reverb. So I realize the screen is white. Give me a moment. So is this going to be an R? Okay, no. All right. Yes, there we go. So one of the things is that just about every cabinet that you're going to encounter is going to say, like it does right down here underneath this extra switch that they added here, that says, you can't really see it that well, but it says 16 ohms. All that to say, your Carvin cabinets want to run at 16 ohms. So what's neat about the radio box that I had out before, and you need to use it, you actually need to be using a pair of cabinets. That's one of the things about it. It's not designed to be just a single cabinet box, at least the way it's mentioned on the top of it. I will double check that, and I will reach out to my friends in radio and find out what usages there are if you want to run a single cabinet. But to my understanding, everything about that is running pairs of like impedance cabinets and running the amp. Ideally, your amp the Boogies want to run at 8 ohms. The Marshalls want to run at 16 ohm. Incorrectly, I said that the Legacy wanted to run at 8. They want to run at 16. And the idea is just that was the way the amp was tuned and designed. Not that it won't run. As I recall, there's a little 3-way switch on the back of the Legacy between 4, 8, and 16. They will run at those different impedances, but the deal is the amp was really designed to sit at one of them, and the cabinet and the speaker, the conversation I had recently is an 8-ohm Celestion and a 16-ohm Celestion, and the same speaker will sound different. That's going to be another episode in amps, racks, and rigs, because that would be very interesting to hear if I can actually do that. I have a huge selection of Celestion speakers, and I'm absolutely positive that sheets.google.com. There we go. Hang on a second. That's perverse. Let me get over to here. Let's get over to the Celestion. There we go. So, if there are any speaker geeks in the house, this is for you. So basically what I've done is I've created a spreadsheet that has obviously the speaker model, the name of it, because sometimes they have a name to them, right? And then the code that's associated with that, and then is it 75 hertz or 55 hertz? What it's rated for, and then the ohms slash impedance. So as we look at looking for something, I've got both an 8 and a 16. Interestingly enough, according to this list, there is nothing. That seems really strange, because I know... Oh, well, there we go. I know I have some 16 ohm, some 8 ohm vintage 30s from the Boogie World. That's interesting. I thought there were more. But basically, then what I've got, right, how many I've got, and then just what series it's from, so I can see that. The other thing is my little manufacturing of PRC is People's Republic of China, UK. But you know what's neat about this is it allows me to kind of track what's there in Celestion without actually having to go to offsite storage, which is a big help. Okay. Geeking out. My Angle amps have 5 speaker outs, 1x4, 2x8, 1x8, 2x16, 1x16 killer design. So what's really cool about this is as follows. Oh wait, let's bring that back. Hello. So the deal is that say you want to run 2 8 ohm cabinets on your average amplifier. What you're actually going to want to do is plug them into the 2 4 ohm outputs. But it means that you have to have enough of an understanding of impedance to know not to plug in, plug them in if you happen to have a pair of 8 ohm jacks. Then so be it. So I didn't say that as well as I could have, but basically the way this Angle, which is really smart, has been set up is that if you got one 8 ohm cabinet, you plug it into the one 8 ohm output. If you plug it into the 2 8 ohms, if they're, my guess is they're going to be grouped together, what those really are is 2 4 ohm outputs, but they're designed for running 2 8 ohm cabinets. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a 4 ohm load on the amplifier, but it's labeled as 2x8, such that, if I got an 8 ohm cabinet and I got 2 of them, I plug them in the 2 8 ohm things, since you're not doing something dumb. So that's very cool. That's a smart design. Excellent. What's going on, RJ? How you doing? Nice to see you. Pleasure, my man. Great to see you. Hello. Braxo, what's happening? How goes it? What's the latest and greatest? All right, Clean Tone Burnett. About a little distorted tone there. Tom Atkins, good morning. Riley, is there any way to run an amp directly without miking it up? Absolutely. So there are a number of devices. These two here right there are cab clone IRs. One of them is obscured by that lovely photo there. And so basically what those are reactive load boxes. And it enables you to take the output of the amplifier, run that into one of those boxes. It creates the equivalent of a quote-unquote virtual speaker cabinet that allows the amplifier to think it's seeing a speaker cabinet, and in turn you can take an XLR out or a 1/4 inch out of that and run that into the PA. A number of the amps, like that one, and that one, and that one, and that one behind me have built-in cab clone IR, such that if you don't want to use a cabinet, you don't have to. And it's hugely convenient. It's also great for being able to be recording at home where you're like, hey, I got the neighbors next door, but I want to put on some headphones and I want to use my actual amp. So it's really cool. Now, I will say this, cab clone IR and a number of these reactive load boxes can also be used in conjunction with an actual cabinet. And I've got what's called an ISO cab over there. One of the other things that's new here that was kind of the impetus of the studio clean and pulling everything, it's actually shockingly close to the way it's going to be. There's a 4x4 isolation booth that a company sent me. And so I put that together here, kind of displaced everything, and I'm going to have video in there, so we'll be able to talk about miking up cabinets in one of these episodes sooner than later. And I have something called a Dynamount that allows you to move the microphone with remote control, and you'll be able to hear and see the difference of different placements on the speaker, which is going to be really cool. We'll probably also be able to do that with a couple of different mics, because I have a couple of different Dynamounts. But the way I've got that booth set up, that when I'm sitting here at the sweet spot, basically you want to create an isosceles triangle with your studio monitors, and where you sit to the distance between the studio monitors, triangulating here, those lengths are all the same. That's actually that spot right there, but I kind of have a tendency to lean forward for video, because I do. But that cabinet, when I'm in that sweet spot here, is pointing right towards me, but there's a door that I can pull on or off on that ISO box. So it means that I can always have a cabinet running and mic it up if I want to. Or have a cabinet running in combination with being able to just use that to go straight into the DAW, which is a huge convenience. I've also got an ISO box from the Mojo Tone folks. It's got two different 12-inch Celestian Redbacks that may not actually be on my list there, but those are rated at 150 watts a piece. And the neat thing is I can run basically anything here, including the triple rec, into one of those. And in theory not blow it up, although generally with a speaker that's rated 150 watts, you probably don't want to be pummeling it too long, which is why I got two of them in there. So, but all that to say, being able to keep an actual load on the amplifier, even if it's isolated and you're not miking that, means the power amp behaves differently. That is to say, there's information coming back to the power amp section of the amplifier that is based on its relationship with the speaker. And a reactive load versus an actual speaker are going to give different information back to the amplifier, which means the amplifier will behave differently. And we will be going over that in some future episodes as well. Okay, all right. So that's good to know. So, then that reminds me, I should probably do... Okay. I will. I think what I'm going to do with that note there is we're going to have a couple of different episodes where we're going to focus on specific guitars. I love that. So I'll have a number of the tellies that are here and kind of talk about the nuances, because there are different types of things that we might want to use a telly for. So one of the tellies that it is here has a... I can't get to it. But it has the Evertune system, and it lives in drop D. And one of the great things about Evertune is you can hit the strings hard and they don't go sharp because of the way it works. The problem with Evertune is you can't do vibrato the way you normally would. However, in terms of for rhythm work, it's great. So, and there are a couple of different tellies here they're all completely different. They all do really different things, but they're all really special guitars. I love that idea. Okay, run 1 4-ohm 412. I run 1 8-ohm 412 and 1 8-ohm 212. So much speed. So, it's an interesting thing is that over here, I'm curious which cabinets you're using. There is a Mesa B horizontal 212, and those cabinets in particular are really big and beefy, and I only have one of them. And sorry, that right there is the oversized slant 412. And what I really actually want to do, and as you pointed out, like that one's 8 ohm, as is the other one. I actually want to put the 212 below the oversized and kind of create this kind of, it'll be about, well, that doesn't make any sense. It'll be, if you're standing, it'll come up to about there. And what it gives you is a combination of, first of all, you get the upper part of the slant cabinet, because it's not as deep, is not quite as, it's not just that it's not, full is the wrong word, it can't, it's not as, the way it translates low end, it's just not quite as, it's just not as big, which is nice because you get that in the combination of the top part, and the bottom part has that additional fullness because it's deeper. So the combination of the two of those cabinets to put together, I haven't done that yet, but I think that's going to be it. Those are great cabinets. Congratulations, Riley. Telefunk, come on. Thank you so much, my friend Tom. You are gorgeous. Great to see you as always. Dynamounts are awesome. So again, a Dynamount is a remote-controlled mic mover. So at one point, I had a little video camera in the ISO booth, which I will do again. So we'll be able to have some fun with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, they're both Angle XXL cabinets with V30s. The Angle stuff is absolutely great. There's a guy named Horst Langer, who is the tube and design genius at Angle, and he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Those are great amps. That was actually one of my NAMM show experiences, demoing for Angle amplifiers. Flipping great company, great guys. All right, what's going on? Digital Viper, hello. All right, as I threatened, I am going to do a little something that's going to make your guitar playing better, in addition to just talking about pentatonic boxes. I have my color pens, and gosh darn it, if I can do this thing without riding the Beato board. I affectionately call this the Beato board because there was a period of time when Rick Beato was doing a lot of stuff on his little writing board, and I like it because, as opposed to having something on the screen like this, that the funny thing is I put this together this morning. I was like, wait a second, I've got the board, you moron. But while I'm doing that, we can actually have that visual there. So that'll work for me. Oh, my word. All right, so we're going to go. Let me see if I can find my red pen. Oh, there's the black pen. Halfway there, red pen. All right, it's going to be red and orange. All right, so the deal is, we're basically going to have the key of G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And that's going to be our, actually then we're going to do this here real quick. Then that's going to be our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and our 1. Then we're going to go to the key of, and that's going to be G major. Probably should put that above. That's where they have this. I have a student messaging me with gosh. All right, so that's G major right there. This is going to be G minor down here. What we're going to have is G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, and G. And that's going to be our 1, 2, flat 3. Finger doesn't work very well for that. Come on. Flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 6 rather, flat 7, and our 1. All right, so what this is allowing us to do is as follows. I apologize, that's a little sloppy. There we go. All right, let's get over here. All right, so why are we doing this? Why does this matter? And why is it important for me to share with you? One of the things that's really, as I'm motoring around the high E string, and I'm playing the different notes. So say, for example, we're pentatonic players. And all I really know is the boxes. Because I think about it as a box. How do I learn to kind of look at the neck and just kind of go, well, I actually can see shapes, but the shapes are based on the note names, as in G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. As I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, what are the two logical places that I think people would want to be able to think about why and where the note names are valuable? And I thought, okay, well, if we went from G major to G minor, being able to kind of have a really clear understanding on the difference between the two would be a logical place to go. So the key of G major, as the notes you can see there on the top, are, if you were to play them linearly, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And for the exercise we're going to be going through, we're going to add A and B on the top. And basically each one of these spots, let's see, let's bring that. That pre-delay is now bugging the crap out of me. All right, there we go. That is the G major scale. I'm basically going G, A, and B, A, B, and C, B, C, and D, C, D, and E, D, E, and F sharp, E, F sharp, and G. Like I said, we're going to add that A on the top, so that's F sharp, G, and A, and G, A, and B. What's neat about this is it's a great exercise for building your left and your right hand synchronization, because you're not having to transition between strings. That little bit right there versus being on one string. The hardest part of playing fast is string transitions, which we're not going to work on today, but the idea is just developing that linear speed. But the thing is, with this exercise, the real advantage is, if you can see G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. More importantly, think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 as G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Then you'll see where G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and when we add the A and the B are on the end. And the advantage is you actually go, rather than memorizing a shape, a la with, you know, our pentatonic box, we actually go, hey, there's G, there's A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. All right, so the deal of that is, again, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Well, the minor scale, you look at the bottom orange there, falling downhill, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, is going 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. So instead of being G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, it's got a flat 3, so the B becomes a B flat. That is, say, 1, 2, 3, G, A, B. That's a flat 3, and so instead of G, A, B, it's G, A, B flat. There's our 4, C's the same, D is the 5. The 6 would have been E. We need a flat 6, so that's going to be E flat. The 7 is F sharp. We need an F. So now we can actually go, all right, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. For the key of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 was G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. G minor, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, means instead of going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, we got G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. And so by being able to translate that from scale degree numbers to note names and note names to scale degree numbers, we're now actually aiming for G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. And we're now, again, utilizing the note name because we know that our B became a B flat, our E became an E flat, and our F sharp became an F. So we're actually thinking about the notes. And you start motoring around and actually thinking about not just the shape of things, but you really begin to see where those notes are, and that's hugely helpful. You can also take it on the G string. So I'm taking the G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and the G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. And just allows us to motor around the neck. And have a different sense of things. Hang on, the wife's messaging me. That's never good. Okay, good. She's walking to Arinda. All right. So the cool thing about that, hey, Matt Blackett. How about some Evertune love? Well, that's the funny thing is I was just talking about my Evertune telly. So your ears must have been ringing, my dear friend. How goes it? So Matt Blackett works for an amazing company called Evertune that I was just talking about a moment ago, that they create these amazing bridges that basically mean that if you're wanting to hit the front end of your amplifier a little bit harder and hit the string a little bit harder, it does go because it adjusts for that. Ola Englund would be somebody that you would think of who is a great rhythm guitar player. And the neat thing is that there are times you want to peg or not peg the front end of the amplifier and the amp, or in this case, the virtual amp. But the touch how much you hit the front end or not. Same thing with bring the volume control down. You kind of control. Actually, with the volume set here, how hard you hit the strings and how much you're kind of pummeling the front end, even if it's a virtual front end. The other thing is certain notes in a phrase you want to have a little bit softer, so not only do you get the change in volume, the character of the note changes as well. So what's great about Evertune is that basically it's a system where the string won't actually go sharp when you hit it harder. It automatically adjusts. Very, very, very cool. How about an Evertune moment there? Okay. What I'm currently working on, thanks to me in January. Oh, awesome! Dude, okay. So one of the things that I'm going to also get going here sooner than later is what I call the Doppler download. And it's going to be a squeaky chair and some notes on this, such that rather than being kind of a bunch of gibberish on a chalkboard there, and it's not just this across the bottom of the screen. By the way, those of you that want to actually work on this, do me a favor, pull out your phone and take a little snap of that so you got a visual of that. And let me make sure G, A, B, C, D, F sharp, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, good. G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, good. 1, 2, flat, 3, 4, 5, flat, 6, flat, 7, 1. I didn't add the 1 on the end, so there's, hold on, come here. You. Thank you. All right. Gosh darn it. I got the 1 on there now. Take a little photo of that. That will be a help. Hold on. Let's get rid of that little space there. Come on. There we go. All right. So, and again, the deal is it allows us to think of the neck, not just the shapes. Now, the reality is there's a lot of time Well, okay. Getting back to the little pentatonic thing we did a little bit earlier. We were kind of looking at this. I'm going to move this a little back over to the right here, hopefully without breaking anything in the process. As we kind of go, we were in E flat for a minute, so it means I was looking for D flat. But we're going to move back up to E for the sake of practicality, because most of us aren't trying to play an E flat on this E-tuned instrument. So the idea is we've got this little box here that's coming out of the middle of a traditional E minor pentatonic. Okay, so we're going to do the same sort of thing here. This is going to be transformational for somebody out there. So here we go. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take the same concept with the minor pentatonic here, and what we've got here is we've got, I'm going to start with formula this time. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And for the key of E, take my word for it, that's going to be E, G, A, B, D, and E. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be targeting, and basically, you know, each time you kind of run from one octave to the next, just cycles around. So you got that E, G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, D, E, G. So this little box here is that D and E right there. And then as soon as you add D and E, we're at G and A. E, D and E, G and A. So this little box, and if we bend that A a whole step, that gets us to B. Matter of fact, do minor third, major second, minor third, major second. All right, now, this is also another really important thing about this. Most people, when they're playing the minor pentatonic, think about the shape. And again, part of what this is, when I'm playing the minor pentatonic, I am thinking about the shape a lot of the time. However, in the background, I know this is E, G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, D, E, G. And most importantly, what makes that minor pentatonic minor is the fact that of these 5 notes, that 1, flat 3, and the 5 make up a minor triad. That E, G, and B. So the deal is if you're in some sort of minor type key, so over the root chord, resolving it to 1, that E, or the G, or the B. Those are the sweet notes. So knowing where those notes are is actually a help. So the deal is that by being able to go, hey, there's E, G, A, B, D, E, G, A, that box, D, E, G, A, we're now going to take what we know what those note names are, and we're going to place that D here, and we're going to place it here, and we're going to place it here, 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 we're going to place it here. And that allows us to, like we talked a little bit earlier, in each one of those different registers, and so I'm basically just maneuvering those little boxes up and down the neck, but it allows me to affect not being stuck in pattern number 1, although ironically, the concept is I'm totally exporting the box that's in the middle of pattern number 1 elsewhere. So I'm still taking that shape, but I'm using it knowing that that shape starts at D and finding Ds elsewhere. So there I played some other notes around. But the main thing I'm aiming for is and the thing is, as you play each one of those boxes, try not to go. When you move between the registers, and play different things out of those different spots on the neck, and that will really unstick you as a player. And it's such a, for me, a freeing way to play the pentatonic, because that's not at the expense of going, hey, let's sit at pattern number 1. By the way, kind of the first place that most players learn to start moving between patterns is actually taking that same 4 notes we talked about. That is the E, G, A, B, D, E, G, A. So that's D, E, G, A. That little box right there, also known as the flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4. That's the bottom of pattern number 5, and wait for it, that's D, E, G, A. We slide into pattern number 1. D, E, G, A. We slide into pattern number 2. D, E, G, A. And again, you have the ability to bend from that A to the B, or from the B to the A, from pre-bet. So there I was literally bending the D to the E, the E to the G, the G to the A, and then the A to the B. And you can, it's a little harder. So I'm basically doing the same concept. There's D to E, E to G, G to A, and A to B. And that'll put some calluses on your fingers. Now I'm basically doing I. And by the way, that's just... that's a little hammer on between G and A. Pull off to G. Then hammer on E. Pull off to D. Hammer on to E. That is, say, down a low string. So we got G, A, G, picking just the G, and then hammering on E, D, E, hammering on pull off, that is. With those little licks, you get others kind of variations. Instead of going, that's just, this is a triplet field. This is an 8-note field, or 16-note. So on and so forth. All right, let me check in on the chat here. Tony, I'm so glad you've highlighted knowing the fretboard and how truly important this is of late. Awesome. Note name has really been on my mind lately for the past few weeks. It's huge. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate you cover all the bases in your live stream, brother. Effing invaluable to us. Thank you for the feedback. Sometimes I feel like it's crazy, dude. Like, we're going to talk about this, but the thing is, and I really appreciate that affirmation. It actually means a lot. Thank you. There are a number of different things. If you think about our experience as a guitar player, I wonder if I can do something about that. It's kind of annoying. That we live in kind of all what I refer to as parallel verticals. Part of what we're doing is we're dealing with our instruments. One of the things that we'll be covering in the next couple of weeks is, especially for Gibson players. So the guitar that I bought at Guitar Center, so I mentioned the big box store now, that kind of slipped out, is this really cool Epiphone. And the funny thing is I've been seeing this guitar for, hang on, let's see. I think I still might have a window with it open. I may not, but I just might. Hang on. That's not it. But I did save some photos locally under Doppler gear. In any case, it was just this really, I generally try not to buy a guitar based on the way it looks, because it's generally kind of a really, it's about the dumbest thing that you can do. Oh, I really like the way the guitar looks. Well, I really, once I'm done with the way it looks, I really care about the way the guitar sounds. And that's ultimately the heart. There we go. Thank you. Okay, there we go. And there's Epiphone, and there's the new guitar. Okay, great. No. Oh, it's a different Doppler gear. Hang on just a moment. Sorry, can't read my own drive here. Sometimes I use exclamation points, so things end up at the top of a list, and sometimes I don't. Give me a moment, and I'll show you the new guitar. Hang on a second. Doppler gear. Thank you. Right there. So the thing about this little guitar here, all right, let's get it. You opened. There we go. And we want to go Finder. There we go. Oh, I get it. You don't want to be in Finder. You want to be in Preview. There you go. All right. No, not that Preview. That's my buddy's dog sleeping. We don't want that preview. We want this preview. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can get into the right preview. There we go. That should be us right there. There you go. So I saw the finish on this guitar, and I was like, oh, holy cow. If that isn't just gorgeous, and like the back is cool, but the antique binding and the finish just really kind of like, man, I just love this guitar. But I was like, I don't need another guitar, but So basically, it was on sale. It was $690, no, $700 right now, and it was on sale. No, it's $799 right now, and it went down to $650, and I was like, all right, let me go to Guitar Center and play it. So I got it home. And even in the store, I kind of made a little adjustment on the bridge. The action was a little high. But when I got home to get the action where I wanted it to, I actually did something that I don't normally do, is I started messing with the truss rod. Usually I take my guitar to Gary Brower, but in so doing, I was like, fine, I don't have time to take it to Gary. I need to actually just be dealing with this now. And so, off the truss rod came, or truss rod cover came, and I was up and running. So the point being is that to get the action where everything needed to be here, I was getting a little buzzing on the lower frets. Had to adjust the truss rod and bring it a little bit this way. And in so doing, though, I realized, all the years that I've had of dealing with, the two-piece, bridge and tailpiece on Les Pauls, adjusting both the tension and the height of the bridge, and then finally getting in there and kind of messing with the truss rod a little bit to get those three adjustments sitting right. I'm like, you know what? There's a bunch of people out there that would be really helpful for, because ultimately, when I'm trying to set the vibe of a guitar, I want how much string tension when I bend a note. Or I do vibrato. And also the height of the action. And the tuning. But the whole thing is being able to adjust the height of the action, such that in terms of the string height off the frets, as well as how much tension you want on it, and then getting that so it's completely consistent up and down the neck. For those that are a little bit older, it's like, I've been doing that for years, right? But I generally have stayed away from truss rod adjustments because it wasn't something that I really was. I was just like, what, let me have somebody else do that. And finally, I was just like, what, I'm going for it. And I was like, oh, okay. And just allows you to just kind of get those 3 points on that type of a setup. But conversely, on a Strat, there are also things that I do, the number of springs, how tight or how loose the claw is, having to make some adjustments around all of that, and, such that you get the tension the way you want it, and you get the action the way you want it. And in turn, if you need to make an adjustment to the truss rod, then so be it. And so those things are super valuable. So, all right, look, I've got a lesson that's going to start in just a moment. And so I want to have a little bit of time to prepare for that. I really appreciate everybody that has hung out. This is one of my favorite things to do. I get up early on Saturdays, such that although this isn't classically preparedness, but usually I've got some sort of concept of something that I'm like, hey, this is important to me because I think it's going to be important to somebody out there. So again, Tony, the feedback is really cool. And again, the idea of having some different topics, I think is really helpful, such that it's not just like, oh, we're only talking about note names, or we're only talking about pentatonic, or we're only talking about gear. I think, that experience is something that ties into what I effectively refer to as 360-degree guitars. Kind of all these things work together. That said, I wish you an absolutely awesome Saturday. I thank you for hanging out and joining me. Make it a great one, and I'll see you next Saturday. Thanks again. Bye for now. Oh, wait. Not so fast. Hold on. Albert, are you still here? Albert, are you still here? Thank you very much, Roger. With pleasure. And, don't be bashful about asking questions. The questions, okay, there we go. Come on. I almost forgot. So the deal is, what we're doing is we're taking minor pentatonic in groups of 3 notes. And what we're going to do, though, is we're going to use hybrid picking. Need to get a little more volume to get this out. So basically, that first 3 notes, we're going to use the pick, hammer, and a pluck on the 5th string. So that is we're going 6th, 5th. So initially, I'd suggest going. We got a little bit of palm muting going on there. Oh, hang on. Let me get this guy going. I set this up this morning so I could use it specifically for a moment like this. Let's see here. No, let's try this. There we go. Let's get that out of there. So we got... So that's pick, hammer, pluck on the fifth string. And then we go... When we move to the next three notes, it's pick, pluck, hammer. And that's going to be B flat, C, and D. So we got this. So that now is our... I'm going to get to this. That guy in a moment. But we got this, the ascending bit. So we go pick, hammer, pluck. And then pick, pluck, hammer. And we put that together. Pick, hammer, pluck. Pick, pluck, hammer. Not like that. There we go. All right, then we move that and just practice on each pair of string. Not very triplety. I'll work on that too. And again, this is new for me as of this morning, but it's for you, so if it's not perfect, I apologize. So we're basically taking the same concept. Always treating it, again, like pick, hammer, pluck, pick, pluck, hammer. Then we set up on the next pair of strings. Next pair of strings. Next pair of strings. Next pair of strings. Now, on the way down, now this is interesting. This third note, for us old school pentatonic players, we would always hammer. But we're actually going to, I like the sound. It sounds a little bit better to pick that. So we're going to go pick, pull, pick. Sorry, pluck, pull, pick. And then we're going to go pluck, hammer, pull. And then we bring it across. Let me do that one more time. So we're basically playing B flat, G, D, G, D. Sorry, moron. B flat, G, F, G, B flat, D. Thank you. So we got pluck, pull, pick, pluck, pick, pull. Then we just cut and paste. Sorry, let me try that again. Hold on, let me get back on this camera here. There we go. We got treating each pair as a pair. And you can hang out on each pair and just go up. Or you can pick a range of two pairs. No, I didn't move. Sorry. So the idea is, the way this one works, it's always pairs. So on the way back down, the right hand makes a transition there. So slowly. And so the neat thing about this, I've wanted to develop something for that, and the whole idea of for that note, I didn't know whether I wanted to be, because naturally if I did this in old school pentatonic, that it always, when you can hammer on or pull off, you just do it. But in this case, That little bit of percussiveness you get. Not quite there yet where I've got it totally liquid, but once I get it there, and especially the palm. Oh, that's a bonus one. So what I'm doing there, now I haven't worked that one out, but I know what I'm doing there. So I'm basically taking groups of 3 strings. And I'm basically the bottom 2, regardless of what I'm doing, are pick and the up one is pluck. So that's pick hammer, at pick hammer, pluck hammer, pluck pull, pick pull, pick pull. Now, if you were to take the idea of just pairs, sorry, in my mind, I know what I'm wanting to do. I can't play it yet. All right, the idea, we're just going, in this case, rather than going, so as you would run that through all the pairs or the trios of strings, pick, hammer, pluck, hammer. Next group of 3 strings. Then on the way down, same idea. We're plucking the upper string. And so it's pluck, pick, pick, pluck, pick, pick, pluck, pick, pick, pluck, pick, pick. You can also loop this, the bottom 3 strings there. And once I get up that speed, it's going to be a really cool lick. Can't do it yet, but the idea is then you've got these different things you can blend. I think what I didn't do all the way across the strings was just the pair. What's good about that is that gets you used to working on the transition of getting the pick and the plucking finger, which again is the middle finger on the right hand. Come on, behave, would you? And that is to say, we're the pick and the plucking finger on adjacent string. And that, what's good about that, just gets you used to working those transitions. You could also just do it for a trio of strings. So it just gets you used to kind of having a smaller, more limited range of motion, but that way you're just kind of getting, instead of going all the way up and all the way down, you're going, all right, I just need to practice that kind of switching direction. All right, in any case. All right, I'm going to stop there. All right. Hey, look, I've got to take a little break because I got a lesson starts in 2 minutes. Albert, thank you for hanging out to the bitter end. Have fun with that, my dear friend. I had that in the bag, and I was like, wait a second, I forgot. Gosh darn it. That'll keep you busy. And there's just so much fun. The feeling. Next week we'll have an open string thing that we'll work in that. Because that's where it gets really cool. All right. See you next time. Thanks so much. Okay.